Welcome. Tonight, we're going to share some stories. These aren't fiction. They're terrifying, true accounts from people who lived through them. We're not here to debate, just to tell them as they were told, shining a light, you could say, on some very dark corners of real life.
That's right. These are those moments, aren't they? The ones that just lodge themselves in your memory, where the everyday suddenly shifts into something truly horrifying. We've got 4 such experiences lined up for you tonight.
Okay, let's start with the first one. It takes us back to the late 1960s. A great uncle of the person who shared this, let's call him John. He was only 12 years old.
Just a kid.
Yeah, traveling alone in the rural USSR. He gets stranded, basically dropped off at this, tiny isolated platform. Just a hut, really, in the dead of winter.
Freezing, dark, utterly alone.
Mm-hmm.
That sense of isolation hits you immediately. No one else around. Just a dirt road leading off into the woods.
And then, out of the twilight, an old woman appears. Tells him the next train isn't coming until tomorrow. But she says he can come back to her house. It's about an hour's walk. She'll give him some borscht, a place to stay.
And John, being cold and tired, accepts. Which, wasn't that unusual back then. People often relied on local hospitality in remote areas.
But here's the first unsettling detail. The walk wasn't an hour. It was 2 hours. Took much longer.
Already a discrepancy.
And when they arrive, he realizes the old woman is actually a man.
Whoa. Okay.
John's just too exhausted, too cold to really question it, He eats the soup they give him. Then he's led upstairs. Tiny room, single bed.
Okay.
The door closes behind him, and then he hears it lock from the outside.
Wow. That's the moment.
Yeah. He calls out, tries the door, nothing. He checks the window. It's nailed shut. Completely trapped.
Just imagining that feeling. Ice cold dread.
And it gets worse. He needs to use the restroom, looks under the bed for a chamber pot, and his hand touches something. Oh, it's a body. A dead body under the bed.
Oh my God. In the room with him.
Yes. So he has this moment of sheer terror,
Yeah.
But then an idea. He knows he can't fight, so he pulls the body out.
The body. He moves the body.
He puts it onto the mattress, covers it up, makes it look like someone's sleeping there, and then he crawls under the bed. Hides where the body was.
That's incredible presence of mind, especially for a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
To think that quickly under that kind of pressure.
He just waits there, in the dark under the bed, and then he hears it. Footsteps. Slow footsteps coming up the stairs.
Oh, chills.
The lock clicks open, the doorknob turns, the figure comes into the room, walks towards the bed. John can just see feet, maybe the bottom of trousers in the gloom. And then this horrible sound, a thud. Then another, and another, sickening sounds. The person is beating the shape on the bed, violently, with a crowbar.
Beating the body you put there.
Exactly, beating the decoy. After a few moments, the beating stops, and the crowbar, it drops to the floor. Lands right there, right in front of John's face, under the bed.
Terrifying. The weapon, just inches away.
The person leaves, closes the door, but doesn't lock it this time. Silence returns. John waits. Then, slowly, carefully, he reaches out, grabs the crowbar.
The weapon that was just used.
He uses it to pry open the nailed window. Takes a while. It's slow work, trying to be quiet. He manages it, throws his small suitcase out, and then just dives out into the snow.
An incredible escape.
He just runs, sees some lights in the distance, heads for them. Turns out to be a highway. He flags down a truck, gets a ride, never reported it. He was apparently too scared of getting into trouble himself in the Soviet Union back then.
Understandable, given the context. Just focused on survival and getting away. What an ordeal.
Okay, let's shift gears now. A very different kind of horror. This one unfolds much closer to home, inside a family.
Right. The danger isn't always a stranger in the woods. Sometimes it's insidious.
Right.
Right there in the house.
This account comes from a man looking back at his childhood. He was about 13, describes himself as small, a bit of a nerd. His father meets a woman named Tammy through a personal ad.
Okay, a new figure entering the family dynamic.
They go out for their first dinner together, the 3 of them, at a Sizzler's. The dad gets up to go to the restroom, and while he's gone, Tammy turns to the narrator.
What does she do?
She cuts him off mid-sentence, calls him a fat little piggy, and starts making pig noises at him, right there in the restaurant.
Wow. Just incredibly cruel and targeted, right when the father's not there.
He was crushed, but he didn't say anything, didn't want to upset his dad, who seemed happy.
That silence, that's often how it starts, isn't it? The victim feels they have to protect the relationship, so the abuse gets an initial foothold.
Yeah.
It really sets the stage.
Exactly. Fast forward 2 years, he's 15, Tammy moves in, and the verbal abuse just ramps up. Constantly calling him loser, stupid, just relentlessly cruel things.
The father.
He didn't really intervene, apparently just kept saying they all needed to adjust to the new situation.
That lack of intervention is critical. It essentially validates the abuse in the victim's mind, makes them feel helpless.
And over the next 3 years, it escalated beyond words. It became physically dangerous.
How so?
He started finding things in his food that Tammy cooked, pieces of glass, paper, even sand.
Oh my God. She was poisoning him. Or trying to.
He believed she was trying to poison him. He became terrified. He refused to eat anything she made, lived in constant fear in his own home.
That's systematic torture. Using food, a basic necessity.
Finally, he sees a way out. He enlists in the army. But Tammy tries one last act of sabotage.
What does she do?
She calls his recruiter, tries to ruin his chance. She claims he does drugs, makes up this whole story.
Trying to destroy his escape road? That's pure malice.
Luckily, he had to take a drug test anyway as part of enlistment. He passed, of course.
Yeah.
And he got away, went into the army.
A close call, though.
He's gone for 22 months on deployment. When he comes back, his father tells him the marriage is falling apart. It turns out Tammy had recently attacked his father, knocked him unconscious with a cast iron skillet.
Whoa. The violence turned on the father, too.
Yeah, so she wasn't living there at that moment. She was staying in her sister's. But one night, late, the narrator is back home, sleeping in his old room.
Okay.
He feels the bed move, then hands go around his neck. Someone is choking him in his sleep.
No.
He says his soldier instincts just took over. He reacts instantly, flips the attacker, gets them pinned down, subdued.
Who was it?
He gets the light on. It was her, the stepmother, Tammy.
She came back to attack him.
Apparently so. His father heard the commotion, came running, saw what was happening.
What did he do?
He called the police immediately. They came, took her away. He filed a restraining order the next day, served divorce papers. It was finally over.
Thank goodness. The military training essentially saved him, providing the intervention his father couldn't for years. What a terrifying conclusion.
All right, our third story takes us into a different high-pressure environment, a hospital ER, San Francisco, Thanksgiving night.
Hospitals can be chaotic, unpredictable places, especially ERs.
The narrator is a male nurse. He gets a frantic call from his wife, who's also a nurse, working upstairs in labor and delivery. The hospital pager system is down.
Oh, that's bad. Communication failure in an emergency setting.
Yeah. And his wife sounds desperate. In the background of the call, he can hear a man screaming, just spewing profanities. She's yelling, "We need security up here, stat!"
Something's clearly going very wrong up there.
So he takes off running, heads for the L&D doors. As he gets close, he runs right into this guy. Big guy, heavily built, covered in prison tattoos, clearly angry, looks like a gang member.
A direct confrontation. That's dangerous.
The man just grins at him, starts spouting threats in Spanish, advancing on the narrator.
Just pure intimidation. And physical threat. The narrator mentioned, he worked out. He knew this guy could easily overpower him.
Definitely. So he does the only thing he can think of. He turns and frantically starts buzzing the secure ER door behind him.
Trying to get back to safety.
A doctor inside sees what's happening, yanks the door open, pulls the narrator inside just as the big guy lunges. He punches the door hard right where the narrator's head was.
That was close. Incredibly close.
And then the guy looks through the window in the door right at the narrator and makes a throat-slitting gesture. Just pure menace.
Chilling. What happened to him?
Just then, security and police arrive. Apparently, it took 2 security officers and 2 cops to finally subdue and restrain him. He was completely out of control.
But why? What set him off in labor and delivery?
That's what the narrator found out from his wife later. A 14-year-old girl had been brought in, high fever, really distended belly, looked pregnant.
Okay.
This guy, the one causing all the trouble, claimed he was her brother, and he was demanding, screaming that the doctors cut her open and get the baby out right now.
But why the extreme urgency and violence, even if she was in labor?
Well, they did an ultrasound, and here's the twist. She wasn't pregnant.
Not pregnant. Then what was causing the distended belly?
She was carrying drugs, bags of drugs inside her stomach. She was a drug mule, likely from Mexico.
Oh my God, so the guy wasn't worried about a baby?
No, he was losing his shipment, the drugs. That's why he was freaking out, demanding they cut her open. He wanted his product back before it, potentially ruptured inside her.
That is just horrifically transactional. Her life was secondary to the drugs she was forced to carry. The violence wasn't about family, it was about merchandise.
Exactly. The girl survived, thankfully. But as the expert pointed out, she likely faced deportation and was just a pawn in a much larger, brutal system.
A truly grim story, highlighting how vulnerable people are exploited in those networks.
Okay, for our final account tonight, we return to the terror that hits closest to home, a potential home invasion.
This one is particularly chilling because of the planning involved.
The narrator is a woman in her late 30s, lives with their fiancé in what she describes as one of the safest towns in America. They have a pit bull who's very protective.
A sense of security then, but maybe a slightly false one.
Well, there was one vulnerability. Her brother, who works in security and is heavily armed, usually provides an extra layer of, peace of mind. But he was out of town on a trip, so security felt slightly lowered.
And context matters here, too. The narrator mentioned feeling a bit paranoid lately, reading news about clown bullshit and the increase of drugs. That general anxiety actually led them to get some security training recently, just in case.
Right. So even in a safe town, there was this underlying unease. And that might have prepared them.
So what happened?
It's late, around 11:30 p.m., they're asleep. Suddenly, the pit bull bolts upright, starts growling low in its chest, goes straight to the bedroom window.
The dog senses something.
Yes, and then the growling turns into full-on barking, intense barking. The dog starts foaming at the mouth. It's so agitated, staring out the window.
That's not normal behavior, even for a protective dog. That's extreme agitation.
Exactly. So the narrator gets up, carefully looks out the window, and she sees him. A man standing out there. Skinny, older, grizzled-looking, unkempt hair, just staring.
Staring where?
Directly at her, into her eyes. He sees her looking back at him. And then he smiles.
Oh, that's terrifying. That acknowledgement, that deliberate violation.
Her fiancé wakes up from the barking, sees the man too. The man immediately turns and runs off into the darkness.
So he fled when confronted by another person.
Yes. They call the police right away. The police come, search the area, and they find it. The man dropped his backpack when he ran.
And the contents tell the story.
They tell a horrifying story. Inside the backpack, a notebook. And in that notebook is the narrator's name and her home address.
He knew who lived there. This wasn't random.
Not at all. Also in the notebook, a hand-drawn diagram, a layout of their house.
He'd been casing the place, planned it out.
It gets worse. They also found beef jerky. Sleeping pills, the police guessed they were probably intended for the dog.
To neutralize the protector.
Exactly. And scissors, twine, electrical tape, condoms, and a rusted knife.
That list, that's not just burglary, that's a predator's toolkit. The condoms, the tape, the knife.
Right.
The intent seems terrifyingly clear. Meticulously planned.
Absolutely. It was clearly premeditated, targeting her specifically. The police took the evidence, but they haven't found the man yet.
So he's still out there?
Yes. They installed security cameras immediately. The brother cut his trip short and came home. But the terror isn't really over. The narrator says she's now getting hang-up calls. Silent calls from an unknown number.
The psychological terror continues even after the immediate physical threat seems to have passed. That feeling of being watched, hunted.
It's deeply unsettling, these 4 stories. They really show how thin the line can be between ordinary life and just absolute terror.
They do. From calculated isolation in a remote place to the slow poisoning within a family, the explosive violence driven by greed, and the meticulous planning of a predator. The methods vary, but the impact is profound.
It reminds you that the most disturbing things aren't always fiction. Real life holds horrors that are hard to comprehend.
And perhaps the thought to leave you with is this. Often, the most unimaginable dangers aren't in some far-off, exotic location. They can be lurking in the most ordinary settings. Your home, your family, your workplace. Understanding the planning involved, not just the act itself, might be key.
Thank you for joining us for these chilling accounts. If these stories held your attention, we encourage you to stay tuned for more. Find us on YouTube and wherever you listen. Just search for Horror Docs.
That's Horror Docs, HORRRDOCX.
And we ask you to please do the naughty things with that like button, share this with your friends, and definitely hit subscribe to the Horror Docs channel. You stay spooky.